We are currently living in the permanent crisis. This means that we are living in the era where we always encounter problem and the tough situation happening around us. If we hear the word crisis, we always imagine that something bad like major change, uncertainty. That's why the concept of being in permanent crisis is always hard to accept, because crisis is always associated with something like negative experience. However, let's do a quick reality check. As you can see in the picture here, in this decade only, we have experienced multiple global crises, for financial crisis, Brexit, war, COVID-19, and the latest one, Donald Trump crisis. And this crisis coming more often than the one in the past. So in the context of the business, crisis is always a nightmare, because every time crisis hits, counters of business go bankrupt and others need to stop their operation and cause income loss. Therefore, when the crises come more often in the form of natural disaster, health crisis, geopolitical, and not to mention internal crisis, continuous internal crisis like bad decisions or wrong investment, we have to admit that crisis is always around. Crisis is a permanent situation. Again, I agree that crisis bring negative impact, but I argue that instead of closing down the business every time crisis hits and start from zero or even minus when the condition get better, I suggest that business should consider crisis as permanent and start to thrive and grow in spite of that situations. Hence, my research aims to develop a process model that can show how different capabilities support the business, not only to survive, but also grow and thrive. To reach this aim, I focus on rural business because this business experience more crisis than the urban ones, but they have the good record of having survival in the business than the urbans. It's interesting. So to start, I ask, what capabilities stand out in this kind of situations? By conducting longitudinal study analysis in 7 rural businesses in Scotland, I keep on track their reaction every time crisis hits, code it and analyze it to get the answer. And follow-up question is, when the crisis is permanent, how can we maximize these capabilities and develop the process model? Finally, this study contributes not only to crisis literature and then capabilities conversation, rural study, but also in practical. It practically can help the business to survive, grow, and thrive in permanent crisis. Thank you.